Have you ever sat down to meditate only to find yourself lost in a spiral of thoughts an hour later? You're not alone. Many people spend years thinking they're meditating when they're actually ruminating. Today, we'll explore the crucial differences between these two practices and why one leads to peace while the other fuels anxiety. But before we dive in, let's get one thing clear. If you've been quote-unquote meditating for years and your life hasn't significantly changed, if your nervous system still runs on high alert, if you're constantly anxious, craving drama, and stuck in victimhood, you've been lying to yourself. You can complain and roll your eyes as much as you want, but it won't change the truth. Your ego might be resisting this realization, but deep down, you know something's off. If you look deeper into it, you might notice a back narrative that says, "See, I've been making all this effort, and out of all the people on this planet who meditate with good results, for me, for poor special me, this is yet another thing that doesn't work. Poor me, I'm doomed." This video is intended to be a wake-up call. It's time to face the facts and learn what real meditation looks like so that you get to experience the amazing benefits of this sacred ancient practice. Meditation, at its core, is a practice of intentional focus and awareness. It's about observing your thoughts and experiences without judgment, allowing them to pass by like clouds in the sky. The goal isn't to empty your mind completely. That's a common misconception. Instead, it's about developing a different relationship with your thoughts and emotions. Rumination, on the other hand, is a form of repetitive negative thinking. It's when we get caught in a loop, replaying past events or worrying about future scenarios. Unlike meditation, which cultivates a sense of calm and clarity, rumination leaves us feeling stuck, anxious, and overwhelmed. Now you might be wondering, how can I tell if I'm meditating or ruminating? Let's break it down. First, consider your intention and focus. In meditation, you deliberately place your attention on a chosen object. It could be your breath, body sensations, a candle, or a mantra. When your mind wanders, which it inevitably will, you gently bring it back to your point of focus. It's this act of noticing and returning that strengthens your ability to stay present. In rumination, your mind wanders aimlessly, often fixating on problems or negative thoughts. You might start by thinking about a mistake you made at work, which leads to worrying about your job security, which spirals into catastrophizing about your entire career. The emotional tone of these practices is also quite different. Meditation generally cultivates a sense of curiosity and openness. Even when difficult emotions arise, you're practicing observing them without getting caught up in the story. Rumination, however, often carries a negative emotional charge. You might feel anxious, guilty, or regretful. These emotions can feed into each other, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. Time awareness is another key difference. In meditation, you're anchored in the present moment. You're not trying to get anywhere or achieve anything. You're simply being with what is, right now. Rumination, by contrast, often involves getting lost in the past or future. You might replay old conversations, imagining how you could have done things differently, or worry about upcoming events, trying to plan for every possible outcome. Physically, these practices can feel quite different too. Meditation tends to have a calming effect on the body. As you settle into your practice, you might notice your breathing becoming slower and deeper, your muscles relaxing. Even if you experience moments of discomfort or restlessness, there's an overall trend towards relaxation. Rumination often comes with physical signs of stress. You might notice tension in your shoulders or jaw, shallow breathing, or a knot in your stomach. Your body is responding to the stress of your thoughts as if the imagined scenarios were really happening. The nature of your thought patterns is another crucial distinction. In meditation, you're practicing observing your thoughts without getting caught up in them. It's like sitting by a river, watching leaves float by on the surface. You see the thoughts, but you don't dive in after them. Rumination is more like being swept away by that river. One thought leads to another, and before you know it, you're caught in a current of repetitive, often problem-focused thinking. It can feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle, but the pieces keep changing shape. The after effects of these practices are notably different. After a meditation session, even if it felt challenging at the time, you often feel calmer and more centered. You might notice a bit more space between your thoughts and reactions, a little more ease in your day. Rumination, on the other hand, tends to leave you feeling drained and stuck. You've expended a lot of mental energy, but you haven't actually resolved anything. In fact, you might feel even more anxious or overwhelmed than when you started. One of the most important skills developed in meditation is the flexibility of attention. You learn to notice when your mind has wandered and gently bring it back to your chosen focus. This doesn't mean you never get distracted. Even experienced meditators do. The key is in the noticing and returning. In rumination, it can be much harder to shift your attention once you've started down a particular thought path. It's like being stuck in a groove, playing the same record over and over again. Now, you might be wondering about those stories you've heard. People who seemingly meditated for years with no results. How is this possible if meditation is so different from rumination? Well, there are a few potential explanations. First, some people might misunderstand the practice. They sit down with the intention to meditate, but without proper guidance, they end up ruminating instead. They might think that the goal is to stop thinking entirely, and when they can't achieve this impossible task, they feel like they're failing. Another factor could be unrealistic expectations. We live in a culture that often promises quick fixes and instant results. But meditation is a practice. It's something you do over time, not a one-time solution. If someone goes into it expecting to achieve enlightenment in a week or to never feel stressed again, they're setting themselves up for disappointment. Lack of proper guidance can also play a role. While it's possible to learn meditation from books or apps, having a knowledgeable teacher can make a big difference. They can help you understand what to expect, how to work with challenges that arise, and how to integrate the practice into your daily life. Inconsistency in practice is another common issue. Meditation is like exercise for your mind. You need to do it regularly to see benefits. If someone meditates sporadically, or only when they're already feeling stressed, they might not experience the cumulative effects of a consistent practice. It's also worth noting that for some people, underlying mental health issues might need to be addressed alongside a meditation practice. If someone is dealing with clinical depression or severe anxiety, for example, they might need additional support from a mental health professional. So, how can you ensure that your meditation practice doesn't turn into a rumination session? Here are a few tips. Start with guidance. Use a meditation app, attend a class, or work with a teacher to learn the basics. This can help you understand what to expect and how to work with challenges as they arise. Set a clear intention at the beginning of each session. Remind yourself why you're practicing and what you're focusing on. Be gentle with yourself. If you notice you've been ruminating, don't berate yourself. Simply acknowledge it and gently bring your attention back to your chosen focus. Start small. You don't need to meditate for an hour right off the bat. Even 5 minutes a day can make a difference. Pay attention to how you feel after your practice. If you consistently feel more anxious or overwhelmed, it might be a sign that you're ruminating rather than meditating. So, the next time you sit down to meditate, remember, you're not trying to stop your thoughts, you're learning to surf the waves of your mind. And with practice, you might just find yourself riding those waves with a bit more grace and a lot more joy. There will be days when you feel like you're drowning rather than surfing. Days when rumination tries to disguise itself as meditation. And that's okay. The key is to keep showing up, to keep practicing, and to keep being honest with yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Has this video opened your eyes to any habits you've been calling meditation that might actually be rumination? Or maybe you've experienced a breakthrough in your practice that you'd like to share. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you found value in this video, share it with someone who's been struggling with their meditation practice. Sometimes, all it takes is a fresh perspective to reignite the spark. And if you're hungry for more no-nonsense, ego-challenging content on personal growth, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more wake-up calls coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Remember, true growth often feels uncomfortable. It's supposed to challenge you, to make you question your assumptions. But on the other side of that discomfort, that's where the real magic happens. So are you ready to stop lying to yourself and start truly meditating? The choice is yours. I'll see you in the next video. That is, if you're brave enough to show up.